HW here. There it is, the brand new Tonex Cab. You probably saw 20 or 30 videos drop this morning on this little bad boy right here. And this is a very honest review. I'm going to tell you why you should care about this thing, what it does well, what maybe it doesn't do so well, who's it for. This is the most honest review you're going to find on YouTube. They sent me this thing. I've been getting to know it for the last couple weeks. So let's get right into how it sounds. But before we do that, let me tell you what you actually care about. This thing is going to ship in April. It costs $6.99. See the little black front on there? For 50 bucks, you get the option of having 3 other ones. You can buy, different ones for 50 bucks if you want to change the look of yours. You can mix and match. You can put multiple ones of these together. You just need enough outs on your modeler to do it, so you can kind of build this thing into a little 412. It's a 112 as it sits, and it's got a little tweeter in there. And here's a cool look. Check that out. I think it looks really great just how it looks with no grill. I think that's like a cool 70s hi-fi kind of vibe. You can load IRs on it. Maybe you want to do that. It's got a 3-band EQ, but the real secret sauce and the thing you should care about is this amp tone control. It lets you mix from a mic sound to a live sound. Now, here's what you're probably really wondering. HW, is this thing better than the Tone Master cabinet? Is this thing better than the Power Cab? And have you tried it with other modelers, and does it work with anything? The answer to all of those questions, in my humble opinion, and by the way, they gave me this cab for free, but they're not paying me for the video. These are my opinions. The answer to those 3 questions is yes. To me, this thing sounds not boxy, which is my #1 complaint on the Power Cab. They sound too boxy, the 112. This thing does not sound boxy to me. The Fender Tone Master, I have a 12-inch one, and it's a little too PA hi-fi speakery. I find myself cutting the presence down and sort of fighting that. I don't find myself doing that here. Let me show you 3 sounds, and let me show you what that amp control does, because for the past 2 weeks, I've been running my Helix, my Quad Cortex. I've run my Kemper in here. It sounds amazing. And I've been running my Tonex into it, which I've got down here. I'm going to show you 3 sounds of a Dumble that I made. I want to show you what this amp control does, because there's some secret sauce here, and really I want to talk about that. All the rest of the stuff, you can go read the website. It really doesn't matter. So here's that clean Dumble, and I've got it all the way set on the mic setting on the amp control. This is going to be what I understand to be the most sort of flat response, the truest to what's actually coming out of the Tonex or whatever modeler you're feeding into it. Now let's set that amp tone all the way to live. Now this amp tone knob is really where I hear the secret sauce sort of coming in. It seems like the frequency response goes a little bit narrower. We don't get as much of a PA feel or an FRFR feel, and it even feels like there's a little bit of mid-range push. This sort of grunt seems to come into the sound. Let me show you with some overdrive. Here is a little dirtier of a Dumble. This time we're going to start on the live sound. Now switch that amp tone knob all the way back to mic. There you can clearly hear, switching back to that microphone side of the amp tone, we get the more flat, PA, flat response, wider frequency response. Less like a guitar speaker, more like a flat response sort of recreation of what you've put in. More like a mic guitar, less like a live, narrower response like Celestion or something like that. Here is I kind of gained up with some chorus Dumble lead sound. This time we're going to start on the mic side, so we're going to hear that FR type clear response. And now all the way back to live, so we feel like we've got a guitar cabinet in the room. Okay, so in my opinion, the amp tone is sort of the secret sauce. Now, I mentioned earlier that I thought it didn't have that extra sort of present high end that you sometimes get from PA style or full range speakers that I thought was in the Tone Master Pro. And one thing I will say about this cabinet is even on the microphone side, when you have that amp tone turned all the way to flat and sort of what I hear to be the widest response, I don't really get that harshness. It instantly does give you that amp in the room sound. HW, they sent you the cab for free. You're saying it does exactly what they said it does. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. It works really well. What is amp in the room sound? You know, to me, a lot of amp in the room sound is the sound of the room. I've got a microphone mic'd up just off camera right here, right about the distance of my arm here when I do this. I'm almost touching it. Just out of frame, and it's picking up this thing. So you're getting some room sound, but it's about the best that we can do to get you to hear what this cab sounds like in the room, because that amp in the room sound is a lot of the reverberation of the room. It's an amp that's too loud, pointed at your feet, so there's less directivity, and you're getting a ton of the bounce off all the things that are in the room around you. That's the amp in the room sound. That is the thing that people think, you know, modelers are missing. It's really that filter, that last filter of the physical presence around you that you hear all the time. And when they listen to a microphone up on a speaker, it's like putting their ear through the microphone EQ filter right on a speaker like this, and no one listens to the guitar that way. That's why modeling doesn't sound like an amp in the room. That's really what's going on. This attempts to solve that problem by giving you something that sounds like an amp in the room. It's loud, it's big, it's a 12-inch speaker. It doesn't commit any of these sort of fatal sins that a product like this could, which is, ooh, I added a bunch of sizzly high-end that would be relevant for other instruments. Those are the types of things that you find in cheaper PA-type speakers. You know, the electric guitar cuts off at a certain frequency range, so we don't need all that extra high end and sizzle. And sometimes you hear a hiss out of things because of that. We don't get any of that here. So even on the microphone side, it appears we're limiting the response a bit. Now, in my opinion, this might be the best this is the best sounding thing on the market today. That's just my opinion. I have used the Friedman. I used that for a long time, and I love that cab. It is not the flattest, but I think it sounds dang good. It actually accents the mids in a really nice way. It has some hiss, though, and this doesn't. This is lightweight and small. It's as small as anything else out there, and it is surprisingly light. It feels pretty robust. Now, I'll tell you full disclosure here, I'm a big fan of the Kemper cab. I use the Kemper cab probably more than anything. And I will still use the Kemper cab for my Kemper, but the Kemper cab is it has one issue. You have to turn the Kemper cab setting on in the Kemper to make it work correctly. So the Kemper cab really doesn't try to be the sort of an FR for anything outside of the Kemper world. And so Kemper's been able to take their speaker, understand the response, level it, and get the right response out of it. And I enjoy it. These guys have seemed to make something that, whether I'm putting my Helix, my Quad Cortex, my Kemper, my Tonex, a unit that isn't out yet that I can't tell you about. Whenever I put it through this thing, I'm not getting any of that harshness. I'm not getting any sizzle, any hiss, and I have the option to make it a little less microphone hi-fi and a little more like that live setting. I personally have really been enjoying this cab straight up in the middle. And guys, I am not reaching for the EQ. I'm really not. That's just me. I'm not reaching for the EQ to figure things out. I'm either leaving it on microphone or halfway between microphone and live. That seems to be what I'm doing, and I'm happy as a clam. I really am. Bravo to the guys at Tonex. They gave me this for free. I really appreciate it. I'm going to see those guys at NAMM. Obviously, I sell captures and things, and I'm a big fan of the Tonex. I have been for a long time. In a nutshell, $699. Who's this thing for? Let's talk about that real quick. Who's this for and who's it not for? In my opinion, this is great for two people. Do you want to add decibels to a stage because you're competing with a drummer, but you already are trying to go direct and do all that? This is for you. Maybe you're trying to go direct, but you don't want to go silent because you think direct is better, but you still want some decibels because the other guitar player, he plays a Blues Junior or a deluxe reverb or whatever. You need some decibels on stage to be heard. This is for you. I'm also going to add this. This thing is loud. Loud, loud, loud. This might be the loudest unit on the market. It is very, very loud. It's also for you if you are a person who doesn't really enjoy playing through studio monitors and wants to have an amp in the room experience. I think this is perfect for any and all digital modelers to put through it. And it has a type of, I don't know if microphone setting is all the way flat or if there's still some EQ that makes it sound a little more natural, a little more like an amp. I don't know. But on mic, it really sounds like what I put in it. And if I could be really particular for a moment, the high end sounds amp-like. It sounds like what I hear when I capture the amps that I capture. It sounds like that. It doesn't sound artificial or cheap or grainy or anything like that you sometimes get with some other units. Those head rush ones are not, in my opinion, not very good. They have a lot of that. They're overly bright, overly deep in the bass. That's the other thing. This thing is not adding a bunch of low end, but it does have ample low end and seems pretty good. It is a 112. Physically, it's a 112. So we can't expect it to sound like a 412, but it's got some deep, and that's on the live setting. Let me put it on the microphone setting. Come on. That's good. Your modeler is going to get a lot more fun if you buy one of these. I'll put it that way.